I saw that they tried to make a big deal, Insomniac, in their press release about, or I suppose their social media posts, about this new gun that they've added, or haven't really added, just unlocked. That, you know, the game is now in 4K 60 on PS5, but it's been running in 4K 60 on PS5 since the PS5 launched.
Yeah,
it was an update that they made a 60 frames per second update to the game, in time for the PS5's launch, because I think at the time Sony was scrambling to go, we need like more games to to show off what the PS5 can do. We need to get some PS4 Pro enhanced games to, you know, actually make the console look like it's got more going for it. So they did that all the way back then. So really, they haven't done anything here. Like all they've done is unlocked a gun that was already in the game, so that everyone can use it. And
in a game that's 8 years old as well.
In a game that's 8 years old, and they kind of made a bit of a big deal about it. I think it's probably something that they didn't even really need to announce. They could have just
done a quiet rollout sort of thing.
Yeah, patch notes. You know, this is what we've done in the latest update. I guess they want to get more people playing that game. I don't know why. Like, surely you want more people playing Rift Apart, but
I don't know. It's a weird story for me. Like, I mean, I've gone through and platinum both of those games, so the chances of me going back and playing it are like slim to none.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
even with a new gun that, you know, was very
good. Fun for 2 minutes.
In saying that, though, like there is a possibility that I'm gonna, you know, in the next year or two, open those games up to like Gwen to go and play. I don't think Tan's got the platinum on them yet, so she might go play them. But that's it is what it is. I've just been trying to find an article on this news story that I was given on this modder that's created a custom Game Boy Advance cartridge for the Game Boy Advance to then be used as a controller on the Switch. Because when I read this story, I thought it was quite interesting. So I'm like, well, how would it work? Like, are they, you know, just using it as a controller, or does the screen on it work as like a second screen? So I've been trying to find a news article.
I mean, I would assume that probably the only thing that it can do is actually act as a controller. And if that is the case, sort of what's the point? Because the controls are probably worse, really, you know, than what you would get on a normal Switch controller, because they're very dated and probably very old now, just like worn down over time.
But if you're using like their store to download older games, then perhaps it might be easier using the older controls, because, you know, it's set up for those controls.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? But I have found an article here from GameRant. So it just says the modder creates custom GBA cartridge to turn the handheld into a Switch controller. The custom cartridge allows the GBA to act as a wireless controller for PCs, tablets, and smartphones as well.
It's pretty cool.
The device is pricey but unique. However, it has no XY button support for Nintendo DS backwards compatibility. So, yeah, it doesn't look like it works.
And so this is on sale now.
Yeah. It's a Bluetooth TX cart working with Nintendo Switch. I mean, they're not modding anything. They're not changing anything. They've made their own cartridge that works in that system. So technically, I can't see why they've really broken anything, any rules or laws or anything like that. Much like, what were they called? Were they Action Replay cartridges you used to be able to get. They were like had all the cheat codes loaded into them. You used to be able to get. You'd plug that in, and then the game would plug into that.
I still can see Nintendo trying to shut this down, and even if they're not successful, I can see them doing things such as saying, "Well, if you use this product, your warranty is void."
Yeah. I mean, all it's doing, by the looks of it, is putting a Bluetooth adapter into it.
But that, I guess, as far as Nintendo would be concerned, that is, they would consider that modification, I think. And we can disagree all we want. Nintendo's law department are pretty litigious. So
yeah. I haven't heard any more, actually. I don't know if you have on any of the Power World stuff.
No, I haven't, actually.
I mean, Power World has died off dramatically.
Yeah, which, I don't know. Are we surprised by that?
Not really. I mean, those kind of survival games are a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah.
So I think it was something that captured everyone's imagination for a short period, and they've gone out and succeeded in what they wanted to do. They made their money and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe Nintendo looked at this one and thought, this game's never really going to amount to that much. It's never going to have that many players. It's going to be too much of a legal battle for us and cost us too much money. We'll just let it go. It's really hard in this day and age to for a game like that I suppose is sort of live service, to just keep going. It's really easy for them to get a whole bunch of players coming in for the first sort of week, let's say, first couple of weeks. But keeping those players around is really, really hard. And I would think if I'm a developer making a game like that, is it worth it? Are you going to be able to compete in that space for the amount of time it takes to develop a game like that and then keep it running? Because you've got to keep putting money into it. And is it going to generate enough money over its lifetime to keep development happening for that game?
Yeah.
There are a lot of MMOs out there that make more than enough money through, loot box systems or subscriptions or whatever, that they can fund themselves that way.
Yeah.
But these sorts of live service games, I think probably a lot of them struggle.
I mean, you can buy stuff, obviously, for this, like you can any other live service game, but
are that many people going to bother?
Well, speaking of MMOs, though, do you want one game that's still going that I'm quite surprised at? DC Universe Online.
Yeah.
That's still going, and whenever I jump in there, there's people in there, and I'm like, hey, this game's been out for nearly 15 years.
Yeah,
and people thought it was going to die off real quick, and it's still going.
Well,
I still enjoy going in there and doing stuff, and they've still got in saying that, the last time I went in there was probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they'd added all the stuff for the Dark Metal series and all that, like the Batman That Laughs and all of that sort of stuff. So that was real interesting. They did some really good work with the instances and storylines revolving around that comic book line. So I mean, they're constantly updating it. So it's not like they're not doing stuff.
Yeah, I still play Star Trek Online, and that's still really busy. Every time I'm going in there, there's heaps of people playing. And from what I've read, it still generates CBS an enormous amount of money that they don't like ever foresee like shutting it down because it just continues year after year to make so much money. But at the same time, they don't they don't give its development studio that much of a budget, and the budget that they do give them goes all towards voice acting talent for new episodes. Basically, they run on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me as much with Star Trek Online. Obviously, it's got a massive fan base.
Yeah.
And I suppose, over the last few years with the way that the Marvel cinematic universe has gone and DC still pumping out movies, that, their games are still going to do quite well. People are still going to, especially with it being free to play as well, people are always going to pick it up and go, oh, I'll go have a look at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, back to Nintendo. Obviously, a hacker has also been arrested for modifying and selling Pokemon saves, which violates the Unfair Competition Prevention Act in Japan. And this individual could face up to 5 years in prison. Like, at some point, with all the stuff, like if you're gonna mod things and change things, which there's right ways of doing it and wrong ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it the wrong way, like this, leave Nintendo alone. We know they're gonna go after anybody and everybody.
Yeah, they're definitely the wrong company to do it with. But for some reason, they're the company that everyone seems obsessed with doing it. Like, how many people make emulators out there for Nintendo games?
Is it because it's the easiest stuff to crack?
I have no idea.
I would assume so. Like cartridge stuff, like there's not that much stuff you can put on there to really prevent stuff from happening, is there?
Especially not back then. They're probably very easily hackable. But for whatever reason, that's what people seem obsessed with modding. And also, you must know, if you live in Japan, that there are those sorts of laws involved.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you do, if those are the products that you create, you must know that those laws exist.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It baffles me. It really baffles me. But I just don't know why you would. Like the guy could face 5 years in prison. We heard about the guy, I think it was last year, that in the UK that was cracking Switch systems, and now he has to pay like 75% of his income for the next like 30 years to Nintendo to pay back the money they supposedly lost for the like 200 units that he cracked. Well, it's like, you didn't really lose that money, Nintendo.
No,
like you still got the money for whatever games they bought, the consoles they bought, and you're not telling me that it was something ridiculous. Like, it's like, off the top of my head, it was like 50 million or something like that he had to pay him back.
Right.
And he broke like 187 of these consoles.
Yeah, right.
You're not telling me they lost $50 million worth of sales.
No way. No way.
For 187 units. Like, that's ridiculous.
Absolutely it is. And I know Nintendo still make plenty of great games. They've got good console on the market, all that stuff. However,
we need a second one, though. We need an updated version.
Sure. I do wish they would just drop some of these legal shenanigans and just focus on making more games. Yeah. I really do. Like, if they put half of the money that they put into their legal team into making more games.
This is the thing. Nintendo are always going to sell well because it sells to the younger generation.
Yeah.
But the older generation are also going to buy it as well. So they're always going to outsell.
Yeah.
The handheld consoles, again, probably going to outsell everything because it's the best thing on the market.
Yeah.
Has the best battery life, the best game range.
Yeah.
You've got 3 of the biggest selling franchises in Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon on that console. And as exclusives as well. Like at some point you're going, all right, well, you're getting all this money in. Why are we still technically so far behind on the technology?
Yeah.
Like pump some money in there. And that then makes me wonder if there's something within Nintendo that's, funneling money somewhere that shouldn't be. Like, are they got too much staff? Are they overpaying people? Are they,
Yeah,
concentrating on completely the wrong things? Like you said, like the law department. Like,
there's something not right there, in my opinion.
In this day and age, where technology is moving so quick, we should not be this far behind with Nintendo's consoles.
No, we shouldn't
at all.
And realistically, the Switch 2 should have been released 1 to 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, we got reports that they were showcasing it to developers at Gamescom last year. And we still haven't heard anything. We then heard that there was rumors going around that they'd been talking to people at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And still nothing. So, and we keep getting leaks and we keep getting rumors and all this, but, nothing concrete. And it's... I just don't know. I mean, am I going to buy it? Probably. Am I going to wait to buy it? If it's last gen technology, of course I'm going to wait to buy it. Like if they come out and they do technology that's comparable to a PS5, Xbox Series X, maybe not at that standard, but comparable, as up to date as they can make it for a handheld console, I will go out and buy it first day. But if it's just going to be, only just better than what they're already running, if it's only going to be comparable to the original Steam Deck, no.
Well, that's I think another problem that they're going to have. Sure, like the Steam Deck and the Asus, I've forgotten the name of it, but the Asus.
There's so many more now.
There's heaps more, right? Now, sure, their market share might be comparatively tiny compared to a Nintendo Switch, right? But if they release a new Nintendo Switch and it is nowhere near the power of a Steam Deck, and it costs around the same price or more, why should a gamer... Well, maybe it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But if it's a little bit cheaper, but it's like way underpowered compared to one of those,
yeah,
sure, the game library for Nintendo is really big, but that's only because they sort of pull an Apple move and say, oh, well, you can only play our games on our console, and we're never going to allow you to like play them on PC or whatever.
And you can only play it on that specific console.
Exactly, right? That's how much
console. We're going to re-release all those games again.
That's how much Nintendo lock it down. Whereas on like a Steam Deck or on Asus, again I've forgotten the name of it. There are others out there.
Alloy ROG.
Ally, yeah.
Ally, ROG. Yeah, that's the one.
ROG, ROG, whatever. Then, like, that's basically just a Windows PC. You can go and install any game that you want.
Yeah, because what are the other two that are out now? The MSI Claw.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Lenovo. There's a Lenovo one.
Yeah.
The Lenovo one actually interests me a little bit because It has detachable controllers like the Switch, but runs pretty much the same as the rest of them.
Right.
But the only problem, the biggest problem I found with all 4 of those is the battery life. They all sit at around 2 hours.
Yeah, but I guess A, there are ways around that, and B, that 2 hours is if you are really like pumping them hard with a tough game, going for higher resolution or higher frame rate or whatever, at high brightness. And if you're not doing those things, you will get more battery life out of them. And B, you can just charge them USB-C with like a battery pack that you carry around, which is not ideal, but like the kind of places that you would use them, because they're not small, they're fairly big. You're going to have it in a backpack. You can have a power brick with you in a backpack that you take with it. And like if you're using it on a train or on a plane or whatever, you can stick it on, like even if you want to get a 2-hour session out of it, you can play 2 hours, plug it in, let it charge for a little while, play some more, or have it plugged in while you're playing and get 4 hours out of it, or 6 hours, or whatever.
Yeah. But compared to the Switch Lite, you get 7 hours out of that.
Yeah, sure, but it's like in terms of performance, it's not even.
Yeah. I know. But yeah, just
because it's got to be a trade-off somehow,
Because I've been looking into them this week. Because I was umming and ahhing, like, because I want to spend more time out of this office when I'm not doing recordings and stuff like that, so that I can, spend a bit more time out there with the family. And then, so I was looking into them. I'm like, do I look at the PlayStation one? So then I've just got the PlayStation thing going, or do I look at going down the PC route and doing, the Steam Deck, the Ally, the MSI, the Lenovo, something like that. And for the price of them, I can't justify it.
Yeah, sure. They're not cheap.
Like the MSI ones just come out, and I think it's 1,300
Australian.
Which is the same price as the Ally, and
I thought
roughly
the Ally
around.
was a bit cheaper than that.
I think it's like 1,270.
Right.
In fact, I think it might have even been on sale at JB this week for like 1,200. But the Steam Deck's around the same price. But the Lenovo one is running in at like 1,500.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't justify that. And like for what the PlayStation Portal does, I can't even really justify the $380 for that.
No, it's basically just a screen. Like, sure, like technically it's a controller. But the only thing really that it's giving you that you can't do, with a tablet or your mobile phone or whatever, is putting everything into one package. It's just a screen and a controller in a package. And
I'm not sure ease of doing it. It's the ease
of
doing it.
Sure. It's offering you a little bit of convenience. It's a screen combined with a controller that offers you a little bit more convenience than using a tablet and plugging in a controller.
Like, so I tried to do, like you suggested, I used the tablet last night with a controller.
Yeah.
And like I tried to do it in bed. And like we're lucky we've got a Super King bed. Like there's plenty of space in there. But trying to get comfy, and every time I wanted to move, I'd have to move the controller, move the tablet.
Yeah.
And like I can't sit up and play because then it sits on my legs, and being ADHD, like my legs are always fidgeting. So
I still imagine that the PlayStation Portal will get to heavy, too cumbersome to use for long periods of time.
Possibly.
Because it's not just like having a controller in your hand. It's going to be a lot heavier because it's a
it's
big
got
screen,
battery, everything else like that. Yeah, look, I agree. But
so if it's a comfort thing, I would imagine that after a while of holding that's not going to be super comfortable anymore.
No, you're probably right. But I'd have to test it to work that out.
There you go. There's your answer then. Go and buy one of those.
Look, if I get any of them at the moment, it's probably going to be that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get Blowy in here at this rate. He hasn't even read the message.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing because obviously we've held off and wanted to have him in here to talk about Fallout, which you've not had any time to watch yet.
No.
Over the last week. I have watched it through twice. And twice. So I started watching it Thursday.
Yep.
Finished it Friday. And then sat down with Tan on Saturday and put it on about 4:00 and watched it the whole way through with her. And like it was that good. It's made her want to go play Fallout.
No,
and she doesn't
she'll be disappointed.
No, I don't think so.
I know. Look, I'm not saying Fallout are bad games, but most of them, most of the series are a letdown. It's like the height of the peak of the series is up here, and then the majority of the series is just like much lower.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because you've got 6 games.
Yeah.
The first 2 weren't made by Bethesda, and are very different stylings of games because of when they came out.
Yeah.
During the 90s. So, they're mid-range.
Yep.
You then have Fallout 3, which bit janky on the controls to go back and play now. Back on the PS3. But story-wise, gameplay-wise, took Fallout into a whole new era. First one with Bethesda. Probably sits at being, I'd probably say, joint second best in the series.
Ooh, controversial.
for me, anyway.
Yep.
Which also goes alongside the spin-off game. Also joint second in New Vegas.
I was going to say, I think most people.
A lot of people.
New Vegas above.
A lot of people do probably put New Vegas above 3, but I put it on par. They're very similar release windows.
Yeah.
Made by a different studio, made by Obsidian, who obviously them and Bethesda are now back under the same banner over at Xbox. Then you've got Fallout 4, which I would probably put as the number 1.
Yep.
Very respectable game. Still a bit janky, but took a lot of the jankiness out. Currently playing through it again at the moment with mods on. I've put some mods on there because I don't want to do it for the trophies or anything like that. I'm there for the story.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the right way to do it.
Throwing some mods on. One of the mods I've put on adds this super mutant as a companion called Swan.
Yeah.
He's a bit big. He gets stuck on everything.
Yeah, right. That's not ideal.
I go into a building, he gets stuck in the doorway. Because he's like 4 times the size of any door in the game.
Yeah, right.
If we're out in the open, it's fine, because he just trundles along. A little bit annoying when he does start running, because the whole ground shakes. And if you're using like a sniper rifle or trying to like aim at anything, you're all over the shop. But yeah, and then I've put on a load of other stuff just so I've got like power armor from the start of the game.
Yeah.
Weapons that I want.
Cheating, basically.
Yeah, basically. But it turns off the trophies and everything like that. But the mods are there. I'm playing on PlayStation. They've added those into the game.
I think it's great that they allow mods on PlayStation with Fallout.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
So I've been having a lot of fun with that. And, you know, the soundtracks of those games, although they're pretty much all the same each time with a few new added ones here and there, like the soundtracks of the Fallout games are a tier list, like S tier.
Yeah.
For video games. And then, of course, you got Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Which is probably at the bottom of it all, but slowly working its way up. They've done a lot of work to that game, and a lot of people are really enjoying it. And it's slowly, especially over the last 2 years, like they've done some really good stuff in that game space. In saying that, it's still got that. When you add that PvP element, it just becomes too much of a survival game.
Yeah.
And it just, I just don't know if it's my style. I mean, we went and played it once or twice. We had a bit of fun, but there wasn't a huge amount to do in the time that we played it.
Yeah. I think probably they should have given up on that game a few years ago and just made another Fallout game and just, you know, blank slate rather than trying to fix a game that was never that good.
But they've done good things with it. The DLCs, the numbers don't lie. Like they've done real well with it. So,
but they probably could have just put that effort into a brand new game that could have been even better.
Well, they were working on mental blank. The Xbox exclusive one. Starfield.
Yeah.
So they're working on Starfield from pretty much the time they finished that. So they would have had a small dedicated team into that, and then they've been working on Starfield, and now they're working on Elder Scrolls. So,
and Starfield was such a massive hit, of course.
Yeah, and that's probably why it's going to end up coming to PlayStation at some point. But as far as the TV series goes, you've got to go watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's up there with The Last of Us. It definitely is a step in the right direction again for video game adaptations. I think we've had 4 now in the past 2 years that just absolutely nail what a TV or movie should be for a video game adaptation.
Do you think it's done a better job than Last of Us?
Hard to say. It's really hard to say.
I only ask because Last of Us did get decent reviews. Like it certainly wasn't panned or anything.
No,
but it was like somewhere between mixed reviews and favorable reviews.
Yeah, so that's what this has got as well, as far as Metacritic goes. Now, I went through and read the critic reviews of Fallout because I was intrigued, because there was one gave it a 1, and then there were like a bunch that gave it like mixed reviews from like 30 to 60.
Yeah.
And then the rest were all fairly positive. And I was going down, it starts obviously at the top at 100, which was IGN. And as you go down, you got PC Gamer, all these other video game companies that did their review of the TV series. And then you get into the mixed reviews. And it's things like the Rolling Stone and stuff like that. Stuff that don't get the video game genre.
Yeah.
And then right down the bottom was just, I couldn't even remember who it was. It was just like, it was some magazine or website that has zero to do with gaming and just shit all over it. And I was sitting there reading, I'm like, This guy sounds like he didn't get past the first episode.
Here's the thing, though. If you're going to make a TV show about a video game series, surely the point is not to appeal to the gamers, because you've already got them. They're already invested in that story because they're already gamers and they've already played it. The point is to appeal to a wider audience.
Yes, I do agree to an extent. Where things like The Last of Us, where it's telling the story of the video game, which The Last of Us does.
Yeah,
that's there to grab people's attention, and they go, "Holy crap! This is a video game. I'm going to go check that video game out."
Well, not even that. Like, I think you need to probably grab the attention and get people watching who don't play video games.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Maybe don't even have a games console.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
They don't have a PlayStation to go and play it. You need to get those people watching.
That's literally what I was saying, though. Like, you're grabbing those guys' attention and going, "Holy crap, this is a video game. I didn't know that. I'm going to go then check out that game," and going out and buying a console, buying that video game to then go play it.
I would imagine that the studio...
Why else would you want to grab their attention if not to sell them products on that series?
To get them watching the TV show, like that's ultimately going to make a lot more money.
Yeah, but it's
a
like
few extra sales of the game.
No, but it's the same as kids' TV series and kids shows. The whole purpose of a kids' TV show, 90% of the time, is to sell toys, or in the Wiggles case, sell concert tickets.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's all to sell stuff to kids.
Yeah. But toys are a much bigger margin than video games are.
Yes, but the whole idea around the TV show from Sony was, we're going to make these TV shows and movies to then hopefully sell more. That's why they're releasing like the part 2 of The Last of Us with the second series. Well, they released it before, but they released it off the back of the first series. Do you know what I mean? Because people were going to go out and buy it.
I'm sure it factors in. Like, I'm sure that's part of the reason, and that they want to sell more consoles and they want to sell more of those games. Absolutely. And that's a nice byproduct of a successful TV show that's based on a game, of course. But surely the main thing is just trying to get as many people watching your TV show as possible, because a TV show can make heaps of money on its own. In fact, if a TV show gets a wide enough audience, it can probably make way more money than a video game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I think that's where The Last of Us differs from Fallout. Purely because one's on HBO Max or HBO. You know, we know they pump in huge amounts of money to make these things look really good. They had Neil Druckmann on board, helping write the TV series, which amazing in itself. And then you're also getting the ad revenue by having that on TV. With Fallout, it's a whole different ball game, because it's an original story. Todd Howard said that he didn't want them to use anything that could possibly be used in a future Fallout game.
Right.
So they had to come up with a whole new story. But they took elements from previous games, so it was like full of Easter eggs. And it's on Amazon.
Yep.
There's no ad revenue.
No, but Amazon presumably gave them a fair bit of money.
Yes, they would have
to make it.
They would have, but there's still no ad revenue. There's nothing like that. So the only way that going to make money off this show is by making it good to sell subscriptions. If people are talking good things about it, people are going to go out and get the subscription to go watch this show.
Yeah.
So that's the byproduct there. In saying that, all the tie-in stuff that's being sold, Steam have got Fallout on sale at the moment to try and boost numbers on selling those games. Elgato have released a load of Fallout stuff, which I did have pulled up before. They've done their microphone and boom arm with the Pip-Boy colours and Pip-Boy down the side. There's covers you can get for the Stream Deck and all that sort of stuff. I was actually going to have a look at them myself because I wouldn't mind a cover for the Stream Deck. That'd be pretty cool. Yep. You know, their idea, this show, is going to sell stuff to the audience.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, who's your biggest audience going to be? The people that are already in love with the game.
Yeah. I totally get that. But my original point was that you need to appeal to a wider audience than just gamers for a TV show like that to be truly successful. Because I wouldn't guess that Fallout is big enough on its own that if only Fallout fans watched it, that it would be a successful TV show for Amazon. If they're the people who are like mainly bankrolling this, right?
Yeah.
You know, when they put big budgets into things, if they're going to keep making more series of it, they've got to see that enough people are watching it and that it's appealing to a wide enough audience that it's worth it, or that it's getting enough new people signing up to Amazon Prime subscriptions that it's worth it. And I don't think it would be for them unless it was appealing to a wider audience than just, and it probably is. I'm saying, like, if it's not hitting all of the right notes with reviewers who aren't video game journalists, then maybe there's something there.
Well, let me just have a look.
Sure. Bring them up.
I'll bring them up. I will bring up Metacritic. Now, the Rotten Tomato scores were vastly different.
Tomatoes, yeah.
So, well, I've already got something else lined up to. So it's got 32 critic reviews that have given it generally favourable at 73, and a user score of 662 users at 6.8.
Okay, so the user score is actually lower than the critic reviews.
Yeah. So the one negative review for it was from the Playlist, and he put, Rodrigo Perez put, Fallout amounts to its Vault Boy concept art, the Monopoly aesthetic-looking smiley thumbs-up character in the game it's famous for, with blood splattered on top of the colourful image, as if that ironic disparity is meant to be enough. It's not. Fallout may look the part, and now the video game's cherry optimism, dog-eat-dog, inhumanity main, but by its upteenth attempt at making this funny, Glenn Miller big band cliches over the top of a transmogrified giant fish trying to eat a young squire. You want this one trick mutated pony to die quickly and painful death already. Or die a quick and painful death already.
Very verbose journalist.
Compared to, and I'll just go to the opposite end of the scale, which actually wasn't IGN, it was The Guardian.
Yeah, okay.
It is, if you'll pardon the pun, an absolute blast. Goggins is wonderful as both the unsullied golden boy Cooper and the wretched ghoul. Moten brings such nuance to it, nuance to what could easily be a one-note role, and Purnell performs Lucy's fall from innocence brilliantly.
What did you think of the acting performances?
I'm a big fan of Walter Goggins anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's excellent in everything that he's in. This role was almost made for him. Like, you can see how he transforms from, before the bombs dropped person into the ghoul that he is 219 years later, and how, everything's changed him, but he's still got that core thing of he wants to find what he's looking for without, trying not to give any spoilers away.
Sure.
And, like, everything pivots around his character in a sense. Well, it pivots around all three characters. They all tie together perfectly while having, their own story arcs. And then they come together and they break off. They come together, they break off. Their paths are always crossing until everything falls into place at the end, and you work out, oh crap, that's like they did real well with the twists and turns. And one of the things that one of the reviews I read that was, not negative, but was one of the mixed reviews, was saying that one of the things that they didn't like about the show was how it kept pivoting off onto things that seemed like they didn't matter.
Okay.
And like, for me, that was a really good design within the show, because what do you do in Fallout? It's an RPG. You end up getting sidetracked on doing side quests left, right, and center.
Yeah, sure, but that doesn't necessarily make a good TV show.
But each time they did this, those stories that revolved around what was happening in the episode tied back to something from before the bombs dropped.
Yeah, okay.
They all tied back to the story somehow, which all led to the bigger picture at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was not one piece that you went, oh, hang on a minute, that didn't make sense, or that, I didn't find any plot holes in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched through it twice, and there's a lot of things I picked up on the second time that I missed the first time,
Yeah.
So, like, absolutely great. One episode towards the end. Oh, was it towards the end? Yeah, his second last episode or third last episode. Completely hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Has some absolutely ridiculously funny moments. Like, I was in stitches.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of a spoiler, but not at the same time. Two characters kiss, and they're both holding severed heads, and it's like watching them kiss, and then it pans down and it looks like the two heads are kissing. I was just in it. Like, one of the heads is like completely smashed in, so the other one's just sort of inserted its nose in the other one's face, but it looks like they're kissing as well. And it was just, the scene of it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Now, I do have a small clip. Small clip. So during one of the episodes, I think it's the episode before, it might even be that episode, Goggins' character Cooper is doing an ad for Vault-Tec.
Yep.
And during that ad, a phone number pops up on the screen. Now, apparently you can ring that number.
Yep.
So here is the hang on, I just got to go to the actual page. This is the video here, and I'm just going to play this.
And now you can be a hero too by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need Americans just like you to build a better day out.
I apologize if this is very loud as well. Things did not work out well for that guy.
Oh dear.
I don't know what I expected from that phone number being called. Thank you to PC Gamer for making that phone call and posting that video. It's excellent. Saves those outside of America and around the world trying to work out how to actually call through to it. But yeah, like that's crazy. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that.
Yeah. Of course, it's not the first time that that a TV show's done that. Had sort of stuff in the real world that usually it's like websites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You probably remember, like with Lost, they ran like websites for Oceania Airlines and stuff like that.
There was a phone number they put up as well, wasn't
probably,
there?
Yeah, probably.
I remember there was a phone number that Lost put up on the screen, and like you rang it, and there was like Morse code or something.
Right? Yeah. That does ring a bell. Yeah,
and that led to something else, and
yeah.
J.J. Abrams did amazing with the stuff surrounding that show to keep people drawn in.
It's a shame he couldn't put the same effort into Star Wars.
It's a shame he couldn't put the same effort into the last season. That was disappointing to say the least. But look, this show is excellent. I don't think it's going to win the awards that, or the same amount of awards that The Last of Us has won, purely on the fact there's a lot less eyes on it being on Prime than being on, cable TV in America and streaming services around the world. But I still think it's going to do very well. Like the costume design, the set designs, the special effects are fantastic. The storytelling's great. The acting's great. Excuse me. The writing is... Todd Howard came out and said that this is basically Fallout 5 to keep you tied over.
Right.
That's how it feels. And it does. The story feels like it fits within the Fallout universe.
Yeah. That's good, I suppose, if they're making a new story. Yeah.
It really worked well. The twists, the turns. There's characters in there that you love to hate, and then they have their own little story arc that you go, oh shit. And there's characters that you like at the beginning and you might end up hating at the end.
Do you think it's the right way to do it, to make a new story inside that universe or very similar to that universe, as opposed to just making a TV version of the same story?
Well, The Last of Us did very well doing the story that is in the video game, but it is a very single player oriented story. It's very story driven, that game, with some big impactful moments that translates well to TV.
Yep.
Halo did absolutely horrendous as far as I'm concerned, with 2 seasons that, just a lot of fans are crying out like, what the hell have you done? You had Super Mario in the movie that went and told a completely new story.
Yeah.
But outside of, saving the princess, there's not really that much story within Super Mario.
Yeah.
So, you can get away with that. A lot of people were very skeptical of Chris Pratt playing Mario in that movie. But they did very, very well. It sold ridiculously well. And come on, Jack Black. Like the guy just kills at everything.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Was there another one?
Well, I'm actually.
What's the one that we played last weekend? Twisted Metal.
Oh, Twisted Metal, yeah.
Twisted Metal, again, has backstories, but not much of a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that was the best adaptation, but it was definitely stepped on the right track.
Sure. I was actually thinking slightly further back to movies, and I know obviously movies and TV shows are sort of very different things, but thinking back to two examples of movies that try to tell a new story in the same universe.
Yep.
Resident Evil, that series.
Did very well.
It did pretty well. Sort of telling the same story, sort of different.
Yeah.
Using elements of the same of the original story, but telling a new story. And then the Assassin's Creed movie, which did very badly.
Yes. I mean, the Resident Evil movies, I mean, they ended up making 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah. I think so.
I know it was the first video game franchise in the movie world to gross over $1 billion. So it did excellent in terms of numbers.
Yeah, it did well.
They did get a bit by the end. But I mean, the first one was excellently made.
Yeah.
Stuck very true to the original game while telling a different story.
Yeah.
And breaking away. The Assassin's Creed movie. Oh, I don't know what they were thinking there. that was I think that almost was the last straw for video game developers and Hollywood to go, okay, something needs to change here if we're going to do these types of things. Because I think that really was the last really bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Netflix Resident Evil series and movie they did, which were very different from each other, I thought both of them were really good. Or not really good, but they were good. They did a job. They told a story. And, they fit within that universe. Things could be massively different about them. And, they weren't ever going to, be award-winning cinematography. But, considering the money they spent on that compared to the money that Assassin's Creed spent, I'd take them every day of the week.
Yeah.
You then had the Mortal Kombat movie. You've then had Mario.
Yeah.
And Fallout, The Last of Us, Twisted Metal. There's probably something I'm missing in and around it all.
Gran Turismo recently.
Yeah, Gran Turismo. A lot of people really like Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I heard good things about it.
I still haven't watched. I still haven't watched it. A lot of people have said negative stuff about it.
I was very put off by the trailer. But then I did hear good things about it. So
yeah, I think that was. It's one of those ones you've really got to like that sort of, because it's based on a true story. So you kind of got to like that sort of kind of movie to really get into it. To be honest, the only bad one I can think of since Assassin's Creed has really been Halo.
Yeah, there are probably some.
That's not just me shitting on that series because I don't like Halo. It's been widely accepted that that TV series is not good.
I just wonder whether it's safer for them to do an adaptation of a story that exists or make a new story in the same universe, because it's very hard to avoid comparisons to the original story when you make an adaptation, and for people to say, oh, you got this wrong, or why did you leave this out, why did you change this?
But it can be done.
It can be done. It can be done well, and sometimes the changes that are made are for the better. Sometimes the omissions that are made are a good thing. And some people agree with them, some people don't. Take, I don't know, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, for example. Plenty enough people love those movies for you to say, well, maybe they did the right thing in omitting certain scenes or changing certain details or, removing certain characters or whatever it might be. And then there are people who, love the original stories who will tell you the complete opposite.
Yeah. And look, they changed some stuff in The Last of Us, it doesn't stick entirely to the thing. And some things have to be changed to make it fit television and to fit that style of writing. But I think it depends on the story, because Assassin's Creed, I think, is one that really needs to stick closely to what they're doing.
Yes,
in
I
the
would
games.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest letdowns was the Animus.
Right.
Like their Animus system in that movie has him running up walls and doing all stuff while plugged into like a VR headset.
Yeah.
That's not Assassin's Creed.
No.
Like, sit your ass in the chair, plug yourself in, and flick into the memories that are tied into your DNA.
Yeah.
So
it'll be very interesting to see how they do. And I know this isn't video game related, but again, because I brought up Harry Potter, it'll be very interesting to see how they do with this new Harry Potter series, because they're going to be apparently sticking far closer to the original story in the books. So it'll be interesting to see if it's more or less successful or whatever than the movies were.
It'll also be interesting to see how they do with the Cursed Child and how that adapts from stage to movie.
Yeah, well, that certainly wasn't as successful as they hoped. I think it's still very successful, I guess.
It's still
plenty of people went to watch it, and it probably sold out heaps. But
it's still going today.
Yeah, it is. It is
still going around the world, still selling out wherever it goes, and it's been 10-15 years since that started.
Yeah, I guess so. You just tend to hear bad things about that show.
I don't think I've actually heard many bad things about that show, but then I haven't really paid too close attention to it.
Yeah,
you're probably closer to that world with your music background and than I would be in the video game world.
Yeah, probably also a big Harry Potter fan than you as well. But
I've read the books.
Yeah.
I've read the books and seen the movies, and I have to sit there and watch them every time Tam wants to watch them, which is once a month.
Yeah, right.
But very excited for the next Mortal Kombat movie, though. Which I think I don't know if we touched on. Was it on the podcast? Jack mentioned something where I called Carl Urban Keith Urban.
Yes, that's right.
It might have just been in one of the chats. But
no, I think that was on the pod.
Yeah, it might have been. He wasn't too keen on the idea of Carl Urban, which I disagree. I think he's going to be great in that role.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Yeah, because I remember doing the editing, and there was the whole thing about the Miz. It was the week I had no end of troubles getting the podcast up on the Tuesday night.
I still can't get the image out of my head of Keith Urban there in the Mortal Kombat universe. Finish him.
Look, Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, I don't know. The video game world adapting over into everything else is a funny business at the best of times.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll wait and see. If you haven't watched it yet, and especially used to, I strongly suggest going and watching Fallout. It's for me, it's fantastic. I was skeptical about it, especially when they started releasing the trailer for it back in like December.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't come out until last week.
It's quite a long way in advance for a TV show.
But it drummed up a lot of buzz and it looked good at the time of the trailer. And now that it's here, I love it. Cool. Reinvigorated my love for the Fallout series. Now they've just got to remaster 3 so I can play it without having to plug in a PS3. Because no, but there's going to be an Xbox exclusive. Probably it's probably actually on Game Pass. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, you'll probably be able to play on PC.
Yeah. Speaking of playing on PC, I've been smashing out some Among Us the last couple of days.
Oh yeah.
I downloaded a game yesterday that I thought would be really good to stream.
Mm-hmm.
Turned it on, started the stream. Numbers went like this within like 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, this is good. Then it blue screened my computer.
Among Us blue screened.
No, not Among Us. Sorry, this other game that I was playing is called crap. What's it called? Alternate Watch.
Right.
So basically, puts up like video cams, and you flick through, and you got to find the things and report, and then it'll get rid of them. So I was like, okay, cool. Play it. Reboot the computer, loaded it up again, went live again, numbers went. So yeah, this is good. Game crashed.
Yeah, right.
Rebooted it, 3 minutes in, game crashed. Rebooted it, 3 minutes in, game crashed. Like, what the hell's going on? Chat's going off at me like, what the fuck? Every time I'm going back in, I'm turning the settings down so that, maybe it was putting too much strain on the PC. Went back into it, blue screen.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So I haven't turned it back on since then. I went and played Among Us on stream. And
sounds like it was that game. If you haven't had any other games that have been crashing and making your PC do that, then I think it's probably an issue with the game.
Yep.
And not with your PC.
I know we've been toying with the idea of doing a bit of an Among Us video somewhere along the lines. And the amount of stupidity that I've seen in lobbies on that game in the past 24 hours wants me to ram my head through a window.
Yeah.
I was locked in a room with a guy. 3 people standing outside this room. Watch me and him go in. The doors lock. The doors open. I'm dead. 3 people walk in. He's no longer there because he's vented out. They report the body and don't put any sus on him whatsoever.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm sitting there going, what the hell? They voted someone else out because he wasn't talking. I'm like, you can't be that serious. I watched a guy kill and vent and nobody paid attention to me in chat.
Yeah, right.
And they voted me out.
Well, they obviously assumed that you were lying and you were using it as cover because...
No, because I was seen going towards the body.
Yeah, well.
They were like, well, it's a self-report.
Who knows?
Idiots. So I stopped playing in the beginner and casual lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
and move myself up into like serious and expert.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just can't deal with this. I can't deal with this stupidity. One guy in chat called a meeting earlier today just to go, I just want to say meow meow. There's a cat among us. Oh my god. He got voted out very quickly.
Not much more needs to be said about that.
Yeah. So, but I think it'll be good with a group of us because we get voice chat going. You know, we can have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With voice chat and like actually scream at each other. And I'm also thinking this Friday though, if we can't get enough players to do the Among Us thing, we might look at the Jackbox games.
Yep.
For a stream. I'll put out there what everyone wants to see and go from there. I'll get some of those and they'll take up a couple of hours, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can cut that stream up into a few videos for YouTube. So make sure you jump down and press that like and subscribe button on this video so that you can catch all that. And when we go live Friday night and when I repost it all. And go check out all our other videos, previous episodes of this podcast and what it used to be when it was switched on streams. Anyway, we will catch you later. Make sure you do that stuff with the drop in the likes and the comments. And all right, guys, catch you later.
See ya.